Oof. Ah, ra. Yeah, just waiting on Calgary. Just want to make sure Calgary's in before I start. So. Wait, who? Who's that? I have a tech interview with you. Oh, actually, I won't show. I'll be half an hour late because this is a longer, dude. I don't know why. I'm gonna be half an hour late for Sebastian's interview. Yeah. Yeah. 4:30. Well, were you gonna leave? Okay, yeah, then this could be fine. Hey, what's up, crew? Just waiting up on Calgary, and then we'll get started. Still did not get a thumbs up, so what's up? It's your boy. Except you don't know who I am, so we're gonna wait a minute or two. I'm Nima. Waiting up for Calgar. I'm gonna throw in a here. Because we're gonna have a breakout session. Oh my god, it's so exciting. Anybody got any good jokes? No? I got one. What do cats in Italy say? So buongiorno. That's the sound cats in Italy make. All right, that didn't land. We'll try something else. Anybody here have like family in Calgary? Cool. Do you mind calling them up and asking them to go to the office? I'm actually not sure the address of the office. We could find out. Calgary, Lighthouse Labs. I mean, give it another minute before I at here again. So it's at the Edison. Yeah. Also, is this visible for everyone? Is the angle okay? I'm seeing a lot of craned necks. If you want to like reposition yourself, that's cool. You don't need to be at your desk. Yay! Woo! All right. Nice. You got Kate. You got Peter. We got Greg. We got video. Perfect. Oh my god, this is so exciting. I am so hyped. We got Dan. Oh, Dan's right. We got Dan. We got Dan. All right. We got a whole crew here. And we're gonna learn a whole bunch of stuff. I am like supremely hyped to get on with this. You have sort of met me. My name is Nima Bosgrino. You may call me. Let me see. We're gonna start writing some stuff. I'm gonna talk my way through what I'm doing in a second, but I'm just gonna set something up so that you can see what I'm writing. You can go touch notes.md. Okay, so I'm gonna be working with a tool called Sublime. I know you've been working with Sublime and all that. I'm gonna take you through that stuff, But for right now, I just need to be able to open up so I can write something for you. Give it a second here. Where'd you go? Oh, Sublime crashed on me. Oh, new file. All right, bad news. We're going to quit Sublime. Or open up Sublime again. Okay, so today's breakout is a bit of a longer dude than usual, so just strap right in. I don't know if you have some snacks with you, if you brought your favorite blanket or something, because this can be a longer one. Davey did talk about the stuff earlier, right? Talked about kind of like your approach going into this stuff. I'm going to take a bit of a different hop into this, where what we're going to be talking about is notes. What we're going to be talking about is your life as a developer, and I'm going to split this up into two kind of different parts. One is your life as a developer through this curriculum. So we're going to talk about our curriculum a little bit more, and then the other part is we're going to talk about our workflow as a dev, which is going to break into a couple things. Sublime. I'm going to give you my hot tips. These, like, you can't buy these. These are, I bestow them upon you. These are going to be some crucial tips to success. Vagrant. And then I'm going to give you, let's see, I'm going to give you like 8 Git commands that will change your life. Let's rename this. Nima's 8 Git commands that will change your life. Doctors hate him. That's how great these commands are going to be. These things are gonna, they're gonna stick with you. Now, I know I said the first thing that we're gonna do is talk about curriculum, but that's a lie. The first thing that we're gonna do is talk about Nima. Oh man, welcome to Nima House Labs, the 3-minute boot camp on who I am. So I'm going to be one of your instructors over the course of this boot camp, both here in Vancouver and remotely into Calgary through the power of the internet. Yeah, oh my god, Vicky's so excited. So remotely, I'm going to be your instructor, one of your instructors, because there's so many of us. Shout out to Sadie over there. What? Other instructor. We got other instructors not in the space right now, but there'll be others tomorrow. Long story short, if you run into problems, come grab me. I'm one of your peeps. Come grab other people too. That's cool. Background about me. My background's in computer science. And then I might as well throw in another funky fact. I washed with soap that had glitter in it this morning, so I'm not as glittery normally. I have glitter all over my face, and it's all over these clothes now, and I itch. So heads up, don't wash with glitter. Okay, so that's who I am. You're going to learn more about me as we kind of go along. Now, about the curriculum, I don't pull the stuff that we're going to talk about just out of thin air. Sometimes I might make it seem like I'm just kind of going off on a whatever, but I'm very heavily scripted. I'm not a real person. These are not real interactions. I don't care about you. No, I'm kidding. Actually do care, but I don't want you to think that I'm just kind of pulling the stuff out of nowhere. Here is Compass, for example. Amazing Compass, right? When I need to put a lecture together, what I get to do is I get to scroll down to where it says lectures and breakouts. Well, let me zoom in. There you go, lectures and breakouts. You also have access to this, which is really cool. So for example, say you wanted to relive this morning's welcome and introductions. What you're able to do is click on welcome and introductions, and this will take you to a page where what you're able to see is this information here. Now, I get the sneaky teacher notes as well. I get that super secret stuff. But what you get down here is, and I don't know if you've already taken a look at this, but I just want to make sure you know, all of the lectures get recorded. All of them. So this morning stuff, look at that. Okay, except for this morning stuff. 6 months ago was apparently the last time. But say you don't like my life as a dev lecture, right? You're like, oh man, Nima's wasn't good, you go watch, go read, like, Dominic did not put their video up, but Dominic puts up notes. Dominic's in Montreal. You want to see a Toronto version of this lecture? Look at that. Juan. Okay, did not record this one, but the stuff is in there, right? Or you can watch, me from 4 weeks ago, where I get to make pretty much the same jokes. It's just living life on repeat. Here's me from 2 months ago, apparently just showing pictures of myself. Here's me from 3 months ago. This goes for literally everything in boot camp, right? So you're going to cover a lot of stuff in curriculum over this boot camp. Sometimes there's stuff that maybe you feel like, I didn't like the way that Nima, I just don't like Nima. I'm going to look at a different lecture. You can hop into literally any one of the lectures and see previous content. Not only that, but you can hop into the lectures, see the previous videos if there are any, and also, so see, there's a video recording for Dominic's, but also notes that lecturer might have done. Right? So just a heads up that I wanted to give you. Right? So in my case here, I'm using this to hop into this little buddy here. We're going to talk about curriculum. Going to give you Lighthouse Labs curriculum in a nutshell, and then we're going to do questions, and then we dive into a whole heck of stuff that we're working with. So, you ready? Okay. Calgary, as always, feel absolutely free to shout at me. I always have your Slack open. What I am going to do, though, is if I could have a volunteer from Vancouver. Sadie, what's that? You said you would? Yeah. No, if anybody wants to watch the Calgary Slack for me, because I don't get notifications because it spams the screen. Just to tell me when somebody asks a question. Okay, the curriculum. It's the web immersive boot camp. Wham! Weeks 1 to 4. This is what the first 4 weeks of the boot camp look like. The first 4 weeks, there's 4 of them. That's a good place to start. Week 1, the one we're in right now, is mostly around the idea of software development. Right? We're going to get introduced to Node. We're going to get introduced to basic JavaScript things. Stuff that maybe you've already been doing through the prep work. We're going to dive deeper into it a little bit, right? Sure, there's going to be some stuff this week that maybe you did before. That's totally fine. This is your opportunity to get into the bootcamp workflow, right? If you end up, finishing some stuff early and you're like, I want more. Like, no, cool. Just relax a little bit, right? Find a good kind of pace. There's always stretch work, right? Like most days have some stretch activities that you can hop into. But the goal for this week is software development, right? Learning about what it's like to work on a project, scaffolding your way up to building solutions, getting those JavaScript juices flowing a little bit. Approach, debugging. Sometimes your programs just don't work, right? Tomorrow, the lecture is going to be about figuring out why your programs don't work from like a high level point of view, right? Another thing that you're doing this week is pairing up. We're giving you pairs of people like to work with, right? And that's something we're only doing this week. We're like actually partnering you up. You might want to continue doing that over the course of the program, like yourself being like, hey, you in the blue, let's work together, and just kind of practice those pair programming skills. It's important to kind of see somebody else's perspective while you're working through something, right? Because it's really easy to get stuck in your own head, right? I'll let you explore that a little bit more. Maybe we'll talk about it a bit more as we go forward. That's what this week's about. Then there's a mock challenge test. Pin drop. No, it's not that bad. We're going to talk about it in a minute. Week 2. This is your first project, right? Actually, really your first 2 projects. Week 2 starts off with one project on one day, and then the rest of the week is about a particular project that we call Tiny App, right? Now, the week is about building the project, but we build the project up through assignments, right? And the assignments explore different concepts, such as HTTP, REST, Express, right? We're exploring all these different things that work to build up a project, right? Deployment. There's also a test on that Friday, which we're going to talk about in a second. But week 2 is about our idea of exploring our first full web application, right? All the way from the back out to the front, something you can play around with, has some real functionality. Week 3, we're spending our time solely kind of exploring the front end, right? Doing stuff that's directly on the browser, making things look pretty, doing cool like interactions, exploring things like client-side JavaScript, jQuery, maybe diving a little bit deeper into HTML and CSS if that's something you really enjoyed from the stuff before, right? And exploring a thing called Ajax. Then we hop into week 4, and that's actually, you just saw the fruits of that labor, right? The midterm project. So the midterm projects, we give them a week to do, right? A little bit more, no, a little bit less than a week actually. They start on Wednesday and they end on Monday. But exploring things like databases, these things called ORMs, find out what that is. But the big chunk of week 4 is about learning to work in a team on a software project, right? Working in a team is a lot different than working on your own. Okay. The people who just did their midterm project, they're gone now. They've disappeared from this room for 1 week. And when you see them again, some of them will have beards to show that time has passed. It's just, it's like that, like, oh, you're back. They will have been gone for a week doing computer science topics, exploring things like object-oriented programming, tree traversal, all these words, algorithms. Now, just because they're gone for a week, or just because you're going to be gone for a week in week 5, does not mean that you don't have work to do. You're working remotely, but you're exploring what it's like to learn outside of the space. You don't have like full-on mentor support like you do now, but by then, you actually won't need mentor support as much as you do now, right? So it's not as spooky. If you do run into stuff that you need help with, by all means, you can Slack someone and someone might help you out. Again, just because it's a remote week doesn't mean there isn't like a full week of content. There is. We still got like 8 hours a week. More like pro tips and other details about this stuff will be communicated later on as we get closer. But just a heads up, one of the weeks is remote. Okay, weeks 6 to 10. This is the final sprint. Week 6, we work on our React project, right? That whole week is about exploring React. It's a front-end framework, meaning you'll be able to build really pretty, really functional websites that do really cool stuff using very little code, right? That's going to be really exciting. We're exploring more concepts like whatever Webpack is, and whatever WebSockets is, and whatever this thing over here, single-page applications. We're going to explore all that. Week 7, just as you're getting comfortable with JavaScript, just as you're like, wow, I love JavaScript. I think this is where I'm going to spend my time. We throw a curveball at you, right? We're like, what, you like that language? Wham! Here's a new one, Ruby. How long do you have to learn Ruby? You have 5 days, buddy. 5 days. Learn Ruby, work on a project. Right? We throw a whole new programming language at you, like 70% of the way through boot camp, right? But the point of that week, and we're going to talk about it more when we get closer, the point of that week is to learn to be agile, right? And adapt to changing landscapes, right? Learning just the bare minimum that you need to learn to complete certain tasks, right? So that's, honestly, I think it's one of the most exciting weeks of the program. Week 8, a little bit more Ruby, but for the most part, what people focus on in week 8 is starting their final projects, right? We're going to talk about what that is in a little bit, but there's also more lectures, right? Advanced topics lectures. Week 9, final project. Week 10, final project. And then you do your wrap-up and demo day is on the Thursday of week 10. Week 10 is, again, a remote week, just like week 5. You don't get any mentor support officially, but, if you come crying to me for help, like, I'll help you. Just like, no, no help. You knew what you got into. So there's 3 evaluated projects, right? There's more than 3 things that you work on in boot camp, but these are the 3 projects that, someone's going to sit down and really just kind of go through your code and play around and tinker with it and give you actual formatted feedback on. The first one is your tiny app project. This one you're working on next week. TinyApp is like a URL shortener. It's like if you've ever used Bitly before, that's what you're building, right? So there's TinyApp. Week 3 is Tweeter. It's a Twitter clone. Week 6 is Chatty. It's a Slack clone or like a messaging app. These projects here, you submit them, and then you get feedback back on them about like, hey, great job, or hey, maybe fix this. Now, the thing that I want to note here is like, we're not just telling you build a Twitter clone and then you just go off and try to build it. We have assignments that scaffold up to building the Twitter clone as you explore different concepts, right? If you do the assignments, you end up with the project complete in the end. There are other projects. There's the week 2, day 1 project. It's the GitHub API client. It's a project where you put in the name of a GitHub project, and it downloads the profile pictures of the people who worked on it. Right? It's pretty cool. You get to touch a lot of cool things with it. We're not evaluating it, but you do need to finish it and submit it. Same thing goes with the week 7 Ruby project. That one's also not like officially, nobody sits down and goes through your thing. You don't get feedback back for it. You need to complete it, right? And we will check on you as you're working on it. Okay. You also have your midterm and your finals. And those ones are a little kind of bit different than these, because with these ones, your exercises work up to giving you these projects. Whereas with the midterms and the finals, it's up to you to figure out how you scaffold your way up, how you plan your thing out, right? But by the time you make it to your midterms and by the time you make it to the finals, you'll have the skills, right? And you'll also have guidance from us on how to work your way up to that, right? We're not just going to throw you into the deep end. Okay, we are going to throw you into the deep end, but we'll like shout instructions at you. Just tread water, dude. Kick, egg beater, whatever. Like that's what we're going to do. There are 4 technical interviews. So much fun. So you get to spend an hour 4 times. So it's 4 separate hours that you get to spend with a mentor in one of the meeting rooms who will just grill you on technical questions. Okay, maybe not like grill, but we'll work their way up until you're able to just sustain that grilling, right? There's 4 of them. So week 2, 3, 8, and 9, they're going to be about different topics, right? They're always going to be about the thing that you learned the week before, right? And they're kind of like a one-on-one session that's sort of like a mentoring session, sort of like an interview simulation, right? To give you the opportunity to like develop the ability to stand in front of a whiteboard and explain yourself, right? Or to talk intelligently about technical topics, right? We don't expect you to be able to talk about insane stuff on week 2, right? By week 9, like you'll be shouting off all kinds of cool words. But at the beginning of the thing, the questions are always going to be about what you learned the week before. So what I want you to take away from me talking about this right now is don't worry about the technical interviews, right? Don't stress about them. They're a good time, right? They're there to help you get better, right? There's no, you don't need to do extra stuff for these. Just do your assignments and you're going to do fine, right? If you got questions, just come grab me, right? I'll help you out with it, but like it's going to be a good time. Are there any questions about this right now? Cool. Any questions from Calgary? Nope. Still. Oh no, it's just Sadie joining. Okay. Sweet. Quizzes, multiple choice, first 4 weeks, self-explanatory. As part of the modules, you're gonna run into quizzes. Just do them. Just get them over with. If you don't get 100%, not the end of the world. Just do it again, right? You can resubmit these as many times as you want. It doesn't matter. Right? What we want you to do is just do them until you understand the stuff, get 100%, and then move on. Right? Once in a while, I would recommend go back and do one of the quizzes again. Right? There's a whole bunch of them. Just go back and try them out once in a while just to keep yourself fresh. Right? Maybe set a reminder for yourself. 12:30 in the afternoon, I'll do a quiz. Right? Just do them. After week 4, there aren't any more. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't go back and keep doing them. Okay. assessment test. Okay, so there's two kind of tests. There's a mock test happening this Friday, and then there's a test happening next Friday, right? Now the test is really just like katas. You remember the katas from the prep work? It's that kind of stuff, except you do it again. There's just other questions, JavaScript stuff. You're gonna sit down this Friday and run through, or not run through. I'm gonna give you like the test to do, and the first time we do it, there's a set of questions. We call it the mock test. We're not actually evaluating you on it. It doesn't, don't worry about it. It's just so that you get used to that process, right? You get comfortable with the environment that we have set up for it, right? It's just good practice. Then on the next Friday is when we do the quote-unquote real test. That one's for evaluation, but think of it as just another project. Both of these, the mock test and the assessment test, both of them, we give you time on Friday to do, like in class. Like we've just scheduled time to like sit down and be quiet and do it. But you have until the Sunday night to continue working on it. Now, some people get stressed out because they're like, oh my God, like I have to finish this in 2 hours. Like, no, like you can take it home and finish it over the course of the weekend. Like it's okay. Right, so you'll have multiple days to do these tests. Sound good? Cool. Just ahead of time. I don't want you to freak out about this like at all. Just get it out of the way. Okay, here's the final kind of thing of evaluation. Not evaluation as in like we give you a letter grade, but more kind of what the education team uses to keep track of how you're doing so that we can help you do better. So that we can help you, learn the stuff you want to learn. So the things that we're looking at are like completion of assignments. What have you completed? We'll do code reviews once in a while, or like mentors will come by and just say, hey, I want to check out your code. Tech interviews, that's a good vector for us to figure out, how are you doing? Project evaluations, so when you submit those evaluated projects and you get feedback on that, that's a great place for you to learn from the feedback and improve. Quiz answers, self-explanatory. If you get 5 out of 10, those are 5 things you can learn now, right? Test answers, and then assistances, right? The mentors are going to go around and assist you and try to help you out, figure out what you're having trouble with, right? And often what I'll do when I'm mentoring is I'll like loop back to you, right? So if I help you out at the beginning of the day, I'll just kind of like, whoo, what's up at the end of the day and be like, hey, tell me about that thing that we talked about earlier, just to kind of catch you. And that's it. Thanks. That was the breakout? No, it wasn't. That's the start. We're just getting started. I'm gonna cough. So that's a little bit about curriculum. Cool, 3:30. That was good timing. What we're gonna do is dive into the main topic of this breakout. Now, every breakout is made so that we focus on like a particular tool or a particular concept that we used to dive deeper into, right? This one, a little bit different. This one's kind of setting a little bit of just helping you out specifically with like Sublime and Git at the same time. So instead of being a breakout about one thing, it's a breakout about 2 things. So we will take like a 3 to 5 minute break about halfway through, but that's not typical for breakouts. Okay, let's see. No questions from Calgary. No questions from here. Okay, we're gonna dive into this stuff here now. Workflow as a developer. Now, we have this document here that I've started writing stuff in, and I'm gonna talk more and more about Sublime and this stuff in a little bit, but something that I do want to add in here is under curriculum, which maybe I didn't write, was lectures. What are they for? What are lectures good for? Lectures are really just, okay, for the most part, 60% of it, lectures are good for making the lecturer feel good. Right? The lecturer goes up and goes, ooh, people listen to me. right? And then for the rest of the day, you're like, I matter, yes, I matter. That's 60% of the purpose of lectures, is to make lecturers happy. The other 40% is maybe sort of to show off tools that you haven't used yet, right? And to dive deeper into concepts that you've seen before, right? Lectures are not great for introducing new concepts, right? The way that we believe pedagogy kind of works here, right, is Davey used the phrase flipped classroom today. So we want you to do a bunch of work, then in lecture we'll explore that work and dive deeper into it and answer any like the intelligent questions that come out of actually having worked with something. Right? So most of the time, like 90% of the time, lectures are going to be coming after you've played around with something a little bit. So I do want to say the lectures are good for like diving into content a bit deeper. But also I want to make a note of the fact that the relationship of lectures to assignments is not always super like clear / kind of evident, I guess. As we start boot camp, yeah, like lectures in the morning are going to be pretty tied to the thing that you're going to do later on in the day, right? But do not be surprised as you go deeper in boot camp and lectures kind of diverge a little bit. Right? If you're going to be working on a particular thing, why would we waste your time at the beginning of the day telling you about the thing that you're going to be doing? Right? Or like, no, you're going to learn that stuff. So we'll take some time during lectures to explore stuff that maybe you won't be playing around with. Right? Maybe showing you extra tools or showing you extra things that you can explore outside of the assignments. Right? So kind of keep that in mind. That's by design. The important takeaways, though, are approach. Right? How does a lecturer approach solving particular problems? Because that approach is not necessarily tied to like that one particular problem. It might be something that you can transplant and use in other places. Like when Nima runs into a bug, did Nima A, cry, B, also scream and cry, or C, Google something useful? Right? And then you can take notes on like what did Nima Google to find the solution to that problem. Right? So approach is particularly important. Also want you to pay attention to tool use. So as I said, today's lecture is all about showing you cool things about Sublime in a couple minutes, right? I'm just going to go whack, and I'm going to throw out, like, I don't know if you've ever seen, like, Tony Hawk skateboard or whatever, right? That's going to be me on Sublime. Be like, what? He did what? Oh, no one's ever done that. That's what I'm going to do. So tool use. Okay. You're going to be taking notes, probably. Some people like taking notes. I want to make a note about note-taking. I want you to take notes that are not coding along, right? When I lecture, I'll do like bigger demos or whatever, or we'll start from scratch and work our way up to a thing. I do not want you to code along, right? You're just going to get lost, right? Sometimes a lecturer will just type really fast and whatever, or if it's one of my lectures, I'll purposefully code bad stuff. I'll purposely code bad stuff and then I'll fix it and show you where I go through and fix stuff. So if you're taking you're coding along and then you stop for a minute and then you lose track, all you've ended up with is just garbage code. You've ended up with my trash just on your computer. Instead, take notes again on approach, tool use, maybe little snippets of code that you'd like to investigate a little bit deeper. But in general, the thing that I'll tell you is that lecturers send out notes. I'm going to send you notes. I'm going to send you all the code that I write. Like every line of code that I write, it's going to be in a document. I'll put it up on GitHub and I'll give it to you. Right? In fact, hot tip. If you Google my name, Nima Boscarino, one of the things that you get is my GitHub. Right? And on my GitHub are all of my Lighthouse Labs notes. All of them. Every single one. They're organized by, they're organized by breakouts and lectures, and then under there they're organized by topic. Right? Every single one with all of the code. And I'm not the only lecturer who does that. Right? Lecturers in Toronto do it, Montreal, right? Lecturers here do it. So you can explore that stuff even before you ever see a lecture, right? Okay, so lecturers send out notes. Don't spend too much time writing that stuff. If you do want to keep notes, which is a good thing, right? Keeping little thoughts and whatever. Something that I do recommend is picking a particular like folder structure that you do that in. So, for example, a lot of people get confused when they start bootcamp about how like where are they supposed to save their projects, their assignments. Because we ask you to submit things, but we're never going to look into your Vagrant to see what your machine looks like. Some people might end up organizing their things by like, and this is totally fine. You could do a folder for week 1 and a folder for week 2 and a folder for week 3. And then in here, what you might do is make a folder for day 1 and a folder for day 2. Right? That's something that you could do. And then inside of this, you might go, hey, here are the notes as like a text file or as a markdown file, which is a special kind of text file that we're going to explore. Actually, that's what I'm writing in right now. Notes MD. It's just a markdown file in the sense of like it's text with little bullet points and numbers. And then you might also put maybe a folder called assignments or something and do your work in here, right? That's one thing that you could do. Some people just straight up go week 1, day 1, week 1, day 2, on and on and on. Whatever, that's fine too, right? Just pick a structure and stick with it, because by the time you get to week 4, like you're gonna have so many things. So make sure that it's kind of set up properly first, right? There's no wrong answer, just pick one. Okay, now, whoops, oh, I'm really sorry about that, Calgary. I think I just slammed the mic. What we're gonna do is hop into Sublime. So, Sublime and terminal use. These two things are kind of tied to for us for right now. Sublime and terminal/vagrant use. Okay, now you have been using the terminal. Let me make this dude big. Also, by the way, this goes for both Calgary and Vancouver. Let me know if the screen is ever too small or if the font is illegible or anything. Just let me know and I'll fix that for you. Right? Also, let me know if the zooming gets annoying or any of that. Right? Now, when you start off, you have a situation like this. I've opened up my terminal. Right? I have to CD to like my Lighthouse folder. Then I need to make sure that my Vagrant is up. Whoops, let me just erase that. Vagrant is up. So I'll run this to make sure that Vagrant's actually running. Right? Vagrant for me is already running. I'll go Vagrant SSH. And this is going to take me into, oh my god, what did I do? Vagrant version. Oh. One sec. Oh man. Oh, you know what I did? Let me go. One sec. Move Vagrant file. Okay. I got a little trigger happy, I guess, and I was deleting a bunch of stuff in here, and I deleted my Vagrant file. So you have to have your Vagrant file in there. You already do. I just deleted a bunch of stuff. Okay, so we're in here. I go Vagrant up, and I also Vagrant SSH into the thing. Fun fact, you can run 2 commands at the same time by going ampersand, ampersand. That just lets you chain commands in one line. Otherwise, I would have just written it as Vagrant up, waited for a second, and then ran Vagrant SSH. Now I'm in here. And I can do all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to quiz you on some things. First of all, what is Vagrant? What is it? Exactly, yeah. So Vagrant's a program that lets us manage virtual machines. The reason we use Vagrant in Bootcamp is that this way, technically, all of you are running the same like operating system and the same machine on your computer, right? You're running a version of Ubuntu, a specific operating system, through Vagrant. So it just kind of lowers the amount of difference that your machines are going to have for us as like mentors and educators, right? We can make sure that everything runs on everybody's computer in the same way, right? Also, we've pre-installed a bunch of stuff for you, right? So a lot of the software that you need over the course of bootcamp is already installed for you, which is nice. Now, inside of Vagrant, right, I can run a bunch of commands. And all these commands are going to be like shell commands. What happens if I do ls? What does this mean? There we go, list subdirectories. It shows me the contents of the directory that I'm in. Right now, I have three things: notesmd, old, and vagrant file. Right? ls stands for list subdirectory. What about cd? Change directory. So if I happen to have a directory that I wanted to go into, I could cd into that directory. Did you see that? Whew. Whew. One keystroke and it's writing a bunch of stuff, right? So I don't need to write out the name of an entire thing on the terminal. If I have a folder called old, or say I mkdir means make directory, right? If I make a directory, I'm going to give it just a super random name with underscores. Look at that. I could never write that. Like, I couldn't. That was a once in a lifetime word. If I want to cd into that directory, I could go the letter A, maybe S, and then press tab. And it'll auto-complete that stuff. And take advantage of that stuff. Okay, now I can also remove directories. If I wanted to remove this directory here, the askd, I can go rm for remove. -r is going to be like recursive, so if there's other things inside of that directory, it'll just delete those as well. And there we go. So I've deleted that directory now, and I go ls and it's not in there. And the last one that I want to talk about here is touch. What does touch do? Yep. Makes a new file, right? So touch is going to make a new file with whatever name you tell it. And yes, Kate, you're absolutely right. List, Greg, that was a VM. I need to set up notifications here because I feel really bad not seeing that stuff. We're going to go all new messages, done. Okay, touch is going to create a new file with the name that you give it. I'm going to go ahead and go mkdir week 1 day 1, week 1 day 1 breakout, cd into week 1 day 1 breakout, and I'm going to go touch notes.md in here. And in a second, I'm going to start working in there. Now, I want to work with this folder right here. That folder, or sorry, that file right there, and that file happens to live inside of the folder week 1 day 1 breakout. So I'm going to need to open up week 1 day 1 breakout as a folder somewhere so I can edit it. Now the tool that I've been using to edit files right now has been Sublime, and I kind of hand waved it, right? But this is what we're going to explore now. I need to open up that file. One thing that I could do is go into File, Open, right? And when this thing pops up here, whoops, I zoomed in way too much there, sorry. When this thing pops up here, I can select the particular file that I wanted to edit. So say I wanted to edit that week 1 day 1 breakout notesmd file, which is empty because I just created it. Here we go. But the thing that's annoying is that, let me make this again completely from scratch. If I went open smd, the thing that's annoying is that if I had other files in that directory, I'm not able to see them, right? To drive that point home, I'm going to make a couple more. Touch secret codes.md. Touch Nima's sin MD. Not like my sin, like pride, but like social insurance number. No one can see my Nima's wrath. That's a sin, right? is Wrath, guess, yeah. You know, I have all these other cool files that I would really want to see, but when I look at Sublime, like all I see is notes MD. I'd like to be able to see that stuff too. I could go open and open up secret codes, okay, and now it's opened up stuff in tabs. But if I had a billion files, or just like 20, that's going to be really annoying. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to open up entire folders. And the way that we're going to open up entire folders is either when you make it to the folder that you want to see, you don't click anything, right? Or I make sure that I only click on the folder to select and go open. And the view here is going to be a little bit different because what I see now on the side is a little drawer of all the other things, right? And this is going to be awesome. Because as you're going to be working on your project, right, you're going to have to deal with separate files. It gets annoying if you have different windows open or different tabs open, right? So here we go. First pro tip, open stuff as folders, right? Open up the folder. First pro tip. Okay, I'm going to write a bunch of code here. Wham, right there, new thing. Wham, 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 wham. What am I doing here? I'm making new, let me zoom over to this side. I'm making new windows. These things are free. Free, look at just, what, you want windows? Whoop, got you a window right there, right? So many, and then I can close them, right? Don't save. I can close these windows. So you can make new windows with Command N. Command N gets you new tab over here, and you can close them with Command W. Right? For right now, you know what? Maybe I won't be so greedy. I'm gonna have one. Right? This here, this is gonna be my first real hacker script. This script here is this will take down all kinds of stuff. I'm going to call it hacker script. And then we're going to have to replace some of these letters. Hacker script, and that's a 1. .js. And now something you might notice is I'm writing this in Sublime. What has it done to the tab up here? Right? Hot tip. When you make a new file in Sublime, the first line, if you haven't saved yet, the first line is going to autofill the name of the file. So then I can go Command S. And Command S is going to fill in that for my name. Hackerscript.js. Cool. Okay, now I get coding. Console.log. Whoops. I'm going to do this with double quotes. You've been hacked. There we go. Yes. My hacker script has started. And you know what? I want my hacker script to print out you've been hacked like 4 times. Now, a lesser hacker might do something like put, you know, CONSOL, just writing things over and over again. But me, the supreme hacker, I know that what I can do is take the entire line, right? So I could take the entire line either by like selecting the thing a whole bunch, or if you're on a line, you can go Command L to select the whole line. And what I'm going to do, this is going to blow your minds. Command C, Command V, Command V, Command V, Command V. What? Code. All right, there we go. I got all this code. You've been hacked. So Command C, Command V, that's going to copy and save stuff for us. So I'm going to send you nicely formatted notes, but here's some shortcuts. The notes will be nicely formatted, but CMD C is copy, and the V is paste, right? CMD X is going to be cut instead of copy. So I can take all this stuff and I go X for cut, V for paste. Instead of command, like it could be control for you if you're on like a non-Mac computer. It'll just be control, but it's the same thing. Sweet. So you got Command C, Command X, Command V. These are the big ones. These are the big pillars of coding. Take other people's work, paste, paste, paste. Okay, maybe don't do that. Don't plagiarize. Like, don't plagiarize. But, you know, if you find yourself needing to move some code from one place to another, just copy, paste. Now, I'm here. I've done all this work. I've done all this great hacker work. And I see something up here. What is this? It's an unsaved, but even worse than that, it's a circle. It's an evil, evil circle, right? Evil circle. I need you to, like, if I was to leave this up here, what I need you to, like, eventually get to the place is, if you've seen 2001, like A Space Odyssey, at the beginning of the movie when the apes see the monolith, like, so there's a particular scene where the apes in A Space Odyssey see the monoliths and they freak out. And they kind of just start screaming at it. And they're just like, "Ah! Ah!" That's how I need you to react to an unsaved file. Just save it, save it. That's what I need you to do, because that's gonna cause like a lot of issues for you, man. Some people end up installing extensions that automatically save their files. That's fine. For right now, Command S is gonna save it. Right? And you want to get rid of that mean, evil circle. So now I've saved my thing. Technically, this thing console logs, you've been hacked 15 times. But I think about it for a little bit. I'm like, hey, you know what? You've been hacked. That feels a little aggressive. I could go Command D. What? Absolute power. Absolute. I can write, I mean, just think of the possibilities. You've been bamboozled, right? Maximum power. Right? I could write in a million different places. So the thing is, whenever you put your cursor somewhere, like on the word bin, if I go Command D, every time I press it, it's going to select the next instance of that word. Right? Often you'll find yourself when you're writing code that you have to change a bunch of stuff all at once, right? This is a nice way to do it. Command D, and I can spam it until it selects everything if I want to, and then I can, you know, write whatever I want. So Sublime's going to give you the ability to have like multiple cursors. If you hold down, I want to say Command. So for non-Mac computers, it'll be Control. I can hold down Command and drop cursor. Look at that, this stuff's free. Look at that. You want cursors? I got cursors. Sup, right? Like, I could do anything I want. This is beast. So you can put down cursors everywhere. This is what I meant. This is like, that's the kickflip. No one's ever done that. What? Oh my god. Let me do some more cool stuff. Maybe that didn't get to yet. I'm gonna make a couple files here. I'm gonna make one called dog.js. Right? Here's dog.js. Here's person.js. I just need nouns or things. This is wake me up.js. And then I write a bunch of things in these files. So maybe in dog, it'll be like, woof, I'm a dog. Haha. What a thing to happen to me. Just need some text. And then over on person, I go, hello, I work at the company factory. And then over at wake me up, I go, wake me up inside. Can't wake up. Just need some text. I've got all this stuff written, and I'm going to do the unthinkable. The absolutely unthinkable. I'm going to close this file. I'm going to close this file too, and this file. end this file, and I'm going to save my notes. I'm going to close my notes file. And now I've lost it. Like, oh man, where is that beautiful file that I was working on? It's gone. It's so gone. I know that that stuff's over here, but look at how many files there are. How would I ever find the thing that I'm working on out of all these files? Here's the thing that you could do. Command Shift F. Command Shift F is going to give you a find across all files function. So I can write something in here like wake me up, then enter, and it will find every file that has the words wake me up, and it tells me, hey, I found one match in this file right there. And what I can do is double click on this and it'll take me to that file. Easy peasy, right? I close it again, no problem. I go Command Shift F. I'm a dog. There we go. Look at that. I'm a dog. And I got it, right? Because the thing is, let's imagine we're in this position here, where you open up. You go. Where you open up your week 7 project. So here's your week 7 project. Nice little folder. I put another folder in it. Let's open it up. Oh my God. Oh, send it back. Send it back to the depths. What is this? Migrate, log, keep, config. What's a locale? I mean, this is just madness. Just straight up bananas, right? There's no way I can have all these files open. So one thing that I could do is keep the Command Shift F functionality. If I'm looking for something, I can Command Shift F and search for stuff. But at a certain point, even searching for things gets hard. I might remember the name of a file, but I might not remember what file that file's in. For example, I know that somewhere in here, somewhere in this mess, somewhere in here, there's a file called routes. I just know that because I've worked with this project before. I just can't remember where it is. So here's what I do. I go command. Oops. Ooh. Oh man, I got it wrong. Wait. Command Shift P, Command Shift F. Oh, I wrote it wrong. This is embarrassing. Wait, say quick. What's the jump to file in Sublime? It's Command Shift P in VS Code. Yeah. It's not Command Shift P. I could do jump to file Sublime, and it is going to be Command P. Okay, so there's a Command P. Oh, easy. I just didn't need the shift in there. So when you do Command P, it'll open up a list of every file in that folder that you're working on. I know that there's one called routes, so I go routes, and it takes me right to it. Amazing. I know there's one called database, and it takes me right to it, and it loads it up for me automatically. Right? I know that there's one called something under the controllers folder. I can start writing controllers, and here are all the ones that match under there. Right? So even if your project becomes gigantic, you can hop to stuff super quickly. Sound good? Sublime is awesome. Again, I know I'm showing you a bunch of stuff, right? But you're going to get all the instructions, right? You're going to get all the instructions and the notes. I don't want you to just work through it. See, 401, I'm going to show you two more things. At a rapid pace. First thing that I might show you here is, say I have a bunch of these things open. I have all these tabs open. You don't want to click on the tab to go to it for some reason. I mean, you can click on it. That's cool, right? But maybe you're like, who clicks on things anymore? Command, Shift, square brackets are going to let you go back and forth. Just cool. It's just cool. And then if I happen to have many of these tabs open, I'm just gonna pull these out so that they're on in their own window. So I have a bunch of Sublime windows open. I can go Command tilde and it'll cycle through the tabs, or through the windows rather. Sorry. Right. Command Shift tilde cycles backwards. Cool stuff. All right. So the thing that I'm trying to show you here isn't so much of like, whoa, look at all the things you can do with Sublime, but rather get comfortable with the tools that you're using, right? If you find that a tool is being the roadblock for you, right, that's a place where you sit down and you say, hey, I should really learn to use this thing. These tools are supposed to make you more like efficient, make you better at programming, making you like faster at doing your things, right? They shouldn't be slowing you down, right? Obviously, at first, they are going to slow you down. Of course, you haven't used these tools before. That's totally fine. But over the long term, I would really invest some energy in just getting comfortable with it. You don't need to become some kind of super user, right? But become comfortable, right? You already have like enough to worry about learning to code. Like that, learning to code is not like an easy task. So this tool stuff, it shouldn't be like that big of a thing. And don't stress yourself out. If you don't want to remember all these hotkeys or whatever, these shortcuts, put them on a piece of paper. Keep them next to your laptop. Practice one or two once in a while, but don't like overwhelm yourself with it. Just do like whatever feels natural and comfortable for you. Sound good? Dope. Okay, so that's Sublime. Sublime's awesome. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take like a 5-minute break, unless there are questions. Are there questions? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So no, Sublime just wants you to pay for it. It's like a project made by a bunch of people for free. So it comes up every once in a while when you like save a bunch of things. Like every so often it'll pop up and it'll be like, hey, pay us please. Just say no. Just go cancel or whatever. It's fine. I know a dude who got so annoyed, or you could pay for it if you want. I wouldn't. Who pays for things anymore? No, like there's other tools that you can explore over the course of bootcamp. I don't recommend exploring them right now. Other editors like Atom. I use an editor called Visual Studio Code. If you wanted to explore it, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. You'll see me use it later this week. But for now, I would just recommend sticking with Sublime. Right? Unless you're feeling like adventurous. Any questions from Calgary? Subble, right. So Greg says Subble folder file name to open up a file directly in Sublime. So when I lecture, like you're gonna see me go into the terminal and do things like code dot or code zuck, and that's gonna open up my zuck folder in VS Code automatically. But when you're in Vagrant, that's not gonna work. It just won't. Okay, so we're gonna set a timer at, let's say 4:10. We'll 4:10 we'll meet again, right? And we'll continue on from there. That goes for y'all as well, but that's gonna be like 5:10. As far as I know, Calgary time is an hour ahead of us. So at the 10 after we'll meet. Cool. All right, word up. It is 4:10, meaning I guess we can continue. So, when we last left off, I'd shown you the inner workings of I showed you how to use Sublime like a power user, I guess. Again, all those commands that I did right now, they're in a document that I'm going to send to you. It's just things you can do. I think I winded myself jogging back from the other side of the office. I need to get into shape. And make sure that Calgary, if y'all could throw me a what up or something, just so that I know you're on the line, we'll keep going. Okay, I'm not muted. In the meantime, anyone here from Calgary? Nice. That was really the extent of that questioning. Yeah. Yo. All right. So we got. Wait, what was that? That's cool. All right. So we got Calgary back. Okay. When we had left off, I'd shown you some Sublime tools. Heads up, those are going to be in a document that I'm going to send you, so you don't need to memorize that stuff. I don't even really recommend that you do all of those things, to be honest. Just play around with some of them, and if some of them feel useful to you, make them part of your workflow. That's cool. But don't feel pressured to do anything. Feel pressured to do your assignments. That's a big deal. That's kind of the big part of this. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to change gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about a particular thing called version control. All right, now version control. This is actually kind of a big topic. Right? I know I'm just kind of springing it on you, but this is because I want you to get some experience with it. You've already started playing around with it a little bit, right? And over the course of this week, I want you to test and break and explore the particular things that I'm showing you today. Right? I want you to, at least by Monday, have a pretty solid understanding of what version control is, and I want you to have a solid understanding of what the 8 commands that I'm going to show you do. Right? Again, you don't need to understand this stuff right now, right? Got tons of time, but it's a start. So version control. Version control, I'm going to motivate this idea first to show you that we need something called version control. I'm going to start off by in here making a new folder, like a project. And I'm going to call this new folder cool project. So I've got this cool project, and in here is where I'm going to be working on some script. So I'll call this script version 1. So script version 1, I'm going to save it inside my cool project. Save. And this one's going to say console.log hello. And then I think about it for a while. I'm like, this is good. But you know what? I want to maybe make a little bit of a change. I don't want to lose this, but I'm going to make another version of it. I'm going to go File, Save As, or Command Shift S. And I can save as and make a second one, V2. Right? So I've got script V2, and I change this and I change it to greetings. And then I think about it for a while. I'm like, this is pretty good, but I want a different version. This is going to be version 3. Version 3 is going to have a little dog. You say greetings and then a dog next to it. Right? And then I'm going to think about it a little bit, and I'm like, let's make a version 4 as well. Version 4. This one here is going to go console.log. It is nice to meet you. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Whoops, this one over here, I accidentally forgot to put a dot in the name. There you go. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4, kind of working up to build a project over time. Have you, like, does anybody here have like a design background, or has anybody here worked on a paper before where you end up with like paper, final, I promise this is the last one, final, last one, final, take me out of this project, please, final, right? So that's the problem we're trying to solve with this thing called version control. Version control motivates the fact that writing a couple lines and then going save as is horrible. It's terrible, right? Because the thing about working on code is that we need to scrutinize every little bit of code that we write, right? We want to work kind of like incrementally up and adding things on, and sometimes we might realize that one of the things that we added was bad, so we might want to be able to go and like snip that little piece off, right? We need some way of keeping track of how our project's going. On top of that, I need some way of keeping track of like my final copy or my good copy and maybe my rough draft of my code, right? These are just different kinds of problems I might want to be able to solve with something. And we're going to solve it with this concept of version control. Now, I'm going to state this. I want to work on one project, right? E.g. like one folder, right? Or one file, right? And I want to, and I want to save a labeled history of that project. Labeled history, like a timeline of what that project looked like over time. Enter version control. So version control is really just this term meaning any program that helps you keep track of what your project looks like over time, right? Saving this like labeled history. We're using a particular program for this. It's called Git. Git is a program that manages the versions of your project. Right? It's going to be useful for keeping track of how your files change over time. Now, a little bit of history about Git. Git was developed in 2006. It's not the only version control system. There's many other ones. They're all garbage compared to Git. Git is the best. Personal opinion, Git's the best. Git is fast. It is secure. It is distributed. It is smart, right? And it is fairly like kind of concise in the number of commands that it has. I tried to make this as unconcise as possible, right? Git has few commands that you need, right? It's not necessarily simple, but it's simpler than some of the other choices, right? We're going to do a little bit of a run through Git. Now, a little bit more history. I said it was developed in 2006 by a person named Linus Torvalds. Maybe it's Linus. It's Finnish, and I don't know how to pronounce his name. Anyways, Torvalds here was working on a project called Linux, popular operating system. And as they were working on this big project with a big group of people, right, they were using a particular version control thing called BitKeeper. I'm not going to quiz you on this or anything, but they were using this thing called BitKeeper, and one of the developers of the Linux project started reverse engineering BitKeeper, and the BitKeeper people found out, and they sent them an angry email being like, hey, you bad, don't, please, like, don't reverse engineer our stuff, just use it. Or if you reverse engineer it, you can't use it for your project. And Linus Torvalds said, fine, whatever, I'll make my own version control. And he went into his, developer dungeon or whatever, wherever he codes, and he was in there for 3 days. And then he comes out 3 days later. This was, I think it was something like April 13th. He goes in. I mean, he wasn't like in a physical place, but like April 16th, he posts on the internet. He's like, hey, guys, I'm done. What's up, y'all? Like, I made a new version control system. It's called Git. Now, is anybody here like British? Cool. So Git, not the nicest thing to call someone, probably. Yeah, so Linus Torvalds has a funny sense of humor. Git means, it's like slang for what? Idiot? Yeah, no. Not very nice. The more you read about Linus, the less you like him. He's not a very nice guy. Very smart. Not very nice. Okay, so Git for us is gonna help us keep track of their things. I'm gonna give you a good old run through, and this is gonna be in the context of a project that we're working on. So I made this cool project. We're gonna make a better version of that using Git. Okay, so Git works with the idea. Git works with the idea of like two things. One is that there's something called a repository, aka a repo. You'll hear a lot of people say, made a repo. Just make a Git repo over there. Oh, can you just check into that Git repo? Repository. And then there's going to be these things called commits. So a repository or a repo for us is going to be a smart folder. It's just a folder. Hey, your typical old folder can be a repo. There's just one thing that we have to do to it. One quick thing. And a commit is going to be a labeled like time entry, right? Committing, yeah, some changes to a project. Right, we're going to see what I mean by that in a second. When I say a folder, I literally mean a folder on your machine, right? And generally, the idea is, for a project, what project will be made with one repo, right? Meaning one top folder, one top parent folder, and then you can do everything else inside of it. Okay, now I'm going to take us through the 8 Git commands in the order that you will need them. All right, so these 8 Git commands, the first one here is once I'm inside of a folder where I want to start working, right, I'm going to be running this particular command. So let me make a folder. This one's going to be called cool project git. Okay, so cool project git. I go ls. There's nothing in here. I go ls-a. There's nothing in here. It's an empty new folder. Beautiful. Fresh slate. I'm going to run a command. Git status. Git status does exactly what, the word status says it does. It's like, yo, give me, like, what's the sitch? I don't know if you watched Kim Possible, but, like, what's the status? Like, what's going on? What's up? Right now, I went git status, and Git tells me, this is not a Git repository. Thank you. It's not a Git repository. It's just a normal folder, because I didn't run that one step that I'm going to show you in a sec. So git status here is going to say, git status, report on the status of the repo. In this case right now, it did, is it a repo? Right? Very important to know. This next command here is going to be init. Now, this isn't like it's Git init. Like, I don't know. You're the only person who might find this funny. Like the whole, like London slang. No. Anybody here listen to a lot of like UK grime? No, that's just me. So Git init isn't. It's gonna do something. It's gonna initialize an empty Git repository, right? And what it does is it's gonna make a new .git folder for us. You will never have to go into that ever. Like don't even go into it. But just know that .git, that's gonna mean that this is now a Git repo. So if I go git status, I get a different thing pop out, right? Different thing. So init is going to create a Git repo in that folder, right? Or rather, let me rephrase this. Make the current folder a Git repo. Okay. Next command. Next command is going to be git add, but it won't really make sense until I show you what's going on. if I check in here, once I ran git status, it told me I'm on branch master, whatever that means. And it tells me initial commit, whatever that means. And it tells me there's nothing to commit. But it does tell me, hey, make some files. So I go ahead and I start making some files. I'll call this one script.js. Right, so there is a script.js thing in my Git folder now, script.js. There's nothing in there, it's empty, but it exists. And if I go git status now, it'll show me, hey, you have this new script.js file that isn't being tracked. Because with Git, I need to tell Git which files it should watch. Right, I'm going to tell it to watch script.js, and I can tell it to watch that by going git add script.js. Now that I've added script.js, when I go git status, and notice how I'm just spamming git status. I can spam this all the time. Git status is green now, right? And green, I've been socialized just over the course of my life to react positively to that. Like, yes, green, I did something good. It's green, it's saying new file. What green means is it's ready to be committed. Right? I've taken this change, the fact that there is a new file, I've put it somewhere saying, hey, here's the platter where I'm saving all the stuff that should be time kind of capsuled. New file, script.js. And when I'm ready to create a new entry in my timeline, I go git commit-m. Git commit. I was going to say, hey, I commit to these changes that I made. The changes being new file, script.js. I commit to these changes, and here's the little message that I'll write about it. Create script.js file. Just a little message for myself. Then I go enter, and it'll tell me, hey, one file was changed in the Git history. Next time I run git status, I see it's back to saying nothing to commit. Right? Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and actually change that file. I'm going to change this one to say console.log AO and save it. And now when I go git status, it's showing me, hey, there's a modification to script.js that you need to actually add and commit. So if I wanted to save this change to my Git history, I can go git add, the name of the file, git commit, added an AO. And I'm going to do one more. Here, let me make another file. This one's going to be called newfile.js. If I go git status, I've got another thing in there. Maybe I'm also even going to go edit script.js and add another. What? Okay. Just add some more stuff. Git status. Right? And now this is showing me, hey, listen, there's a change on script.js, and there's also an untracked file called new file. So I can do two things. I can go git add new file and git add script. Git add script.js. If I really wanted to add a whole bunch of changes at once, I can go git add dot, and that will add everything. Right? But for now, like, just write the names of the files. I go git status again just to make sure they're all green. I go git commit, added new file, and made a Lil Jon console log. And then at this point here, I've technically kept track of all this history. If I wanted to see everything, the whole history of stuff that I've worked on, I can go git log, and I see a log of every one of the commits that I've made. Right? Now, I'm telling you now, you have this history, and over the course of bootcamp, you'll learn about how you can move through the history, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Okay? I just want you to get into the habit of saving little bits. I also want you to see that I made a lot of little changes, right? And I saved every time I made a little change and committed that. my general rule to you is every time you feel proud of yourself, commit. Anytime you feel like you would cry if somebody, and okay, if your computer was to shut down and you lose your work and you feel like a little bit sad, that's a place where you want to commit. Because what we're going to do is we're going to commit, and then we're going to take this stuff and put it on the cloud. And that's what the last step that we're going to do is all of this stuff here, all of these commits, they're all saved on my machine using Git. But it's useless if my machine dies and I lose my history. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this up on something like Google Drive or something like an email or GitHub. So GitHub is a service that we're going to use to host our Git repositories on the cloud. It's like a backup service. It also happens to be a place where people can collaborate on projects and all that. But for right now, I want you to just think about it as like its basic functionality being a place where you can upload your projects. Right? So I've made this super cool, Git, like cool project Git. I'm going to go ahead and go to GitHub and click on the plus button. Or there's a new repositories button over here as well. They both take you to the same place. I can give this repository a name. Was it cool project Git? You can name it anything, but might as well name it the same name as your folder. I'm going to leave all the other properties, just leave them as they are for now. Create repository. Give it a second, and here we go. It's a brand new, fresh Git repo. There's nothing in here. But this Git repo is not on my machine. It's over on somebody else's. It's over in Seattle or something, right? It's on somebody's cloud computer. It's on a server somewhere. And now what I can do is I could follow the instructions. They say, hey, if you want to create a new repository, go ahead and do this. Or if you want to push an existing repository, do this. And that's us. We've made an existing repository, and I just want to push it. Now, you're going to notice when you do GitHub stuff, there's these two options, HTTPS or SSH. For your Vagrant stuff, right, just make sure it's on SSH every time, because it'll just change, if you keep an eye over here, it'll just change the links that are over there. So I'm going to use this command here, git remote add. Let me copy it for a second and go over to my terminal. When you do git remote, this means I'm dealing with something somewhere else, not on my machine, right? I'm trying to deal with like a cloud machine or something. If I go git remote -v, this will list all of the like outside sources that I have my Git repo connected to. And right now there aren't any. If I paste in that command that says git remote add, I will be adding GitHub as a new remote. And I'm naming that remote origin. Now I can choose to name that remote origin, or I can choose to name it anything I want. I'm going to choose, Kira's not here, right? Damn. Hey, I'm going to choose potato as my, I'm going to choose potato as my remote. I've made this up. It wasn't in the documentation. I called it potato. And now I'm going to go git remote -v, and I'll see that there are two remotes. One called potato and another called potato. Two remotes called potato, because one of them is a remote from which I take changes from, and the other one is a remote to which I push changes, right? Really, they end up being the same one. Because I can take changes from GitHub. If there were changes there, I wanted to pull them, or I can push changes there. And that's what we're going to do right now, is we're going to push. So I've registered a remote, and the last thing that I need to do is go git push. And what I do when I say git push is I'll say, hey, take all the code that I have right now on my machine and push it up. And the way that I'm going to ask you to write this is the first time, go git push, and then say the name of the remote. So in my case, it's potato. You're going to find often you're going to be using the word origin, right? But I just want you to know that's just a name. right? So yours is going to be git push origin most of the time. Git push potato, master. And if you throw a dash u in front of it like this, what this is going to do is it's going to set it so that from now on, I just have to say git push instead of writing the whole thing out. So I can go git push u. This thing pushes itself. When I refresh this, it has everything we did. Those 3 commits, I can check on them, and I see all those commits I made 9, 8, 7 minutes ago. I can click on each one of these and see what it did. Right? See what it did. And then ultimately, what I can do is continue making changes and push them every time. So if I was to make another change, like make a new test.js file, I can add that, commit it, and push it. Ignore this error. It's not an error. It's just I haven't set mine up with my username and whatever like you have. But the important part is that it pushed. And it'll tell you, hey, we pushed. And you go ahead and refresh. Whoops. Refresh. And now I have my test.js file in there. Right? That is all that you need to know about Git right now. Right? So the commands are init, status, add, commit, remote, and push. Right? Log is in there for when you want to list all of your changes locally, like all of your commits locally. That's 7 commands, because the 8th command is pull. Right? Pull is going to be used when there's a change on the Git repo that you don't have on your machine. That's not going to happen right now. Right? So in the next like week or 2 weeks, you're not going to run into that issue. But I want you to see what I mean by that. If for some reason, and so what I've done here is I've gone ahead and clicked on test.js in GitHub, and I've gone ahead and clicked on the edit this file button, and I actually edit the file and save it. Now I have changes on my GitHub that I don't have on my machine. The command that you would run is git pull to pull the changes from GitHub. Again, you're not going to be doing that this week or next week, but I want you to just know about that ahead of time. Right? It will be in the docs. Okay. Whew. Okay, so that was a whole bunch of kind of stuff. Whole bunch of stuff. Those are most of the commands you're going to need. You've used clone already, so I don't want to talk about that. That's just download. This was, as I said, a longer breakout, right? But from now on, they're just going to be like 45 minutes to an hour. Sound good? Okay. Y'all ready for me to like let you go? Right? Don't worry, I'm going to yell at you tomorrow again. It's fine. Like, you see me tomorrow morning. Calgary says, if 2 people are working on a file at the same time, how can people combine their work? Is there an easy way? I'm going to answer that by saying, yes, there is an easy way, and Git handles that for you. But we're going to leave that conversation until end of week 3, right? Or if you feel like asking a mentor that, because that's going to be more of like a one-on-one kind of situation. Excellent question though, and it's absolutely a thing that Git can solve for you. Sweet. In that case, then we good to go? Awesome. Have a great rest of your day, Calgary. I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Yeah, enjoy your Monday. Sweet. Oh, feel free to message me if you have any questions, by the way. And notes will be out really soon. Thanks.